It has been a brutal run for the Toronto Blue Jays, and if they don't pick it up soon, things are going to get really messy for the team. There are rumors already coming out about John Schneider potentially being fired, and a replacement for him has been named as well. So we're going to break that down and much more coming up next. What's up, Jays fans? Nick Gosse here, host of Jays Digest. And before we do get into the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 7,500 subscribers, and I know the Jays, they haven't been doing great, but we're continuing to pump out daily content. So it would mean the world if you could do that. And Peter will be back for the next video. And let's just get into it. And things could get messy for the Blue Jays very, very, very quickly. Obviously, the trade deadline is coming up August, and very early August, which isn't too far away. But before then, we could see some major changes coming to the Blue Jays. And following their 11-0 loss yesterday, and they just haven't been playing very well at all. A lot of people on Twitter are going out and saying various different things, that people need to be fired, that obviously the Jays need to play better. I'm going to give you some rumors that came out today. They are not verified sources, but they are definitely some rumors who have had some things right in the past. We'll discuss that, and I'll also discuss my my personal opinion about what I think should happen and what who was really at fault here. So let's start with this. This is from Howard Berger. He has around 10K followers on Twitter. He's been right in the past about some things, but he's also been wrong about others. But he said, not sure it's entirely fair, but Don Mattingly will replace John Schneider as the Blue Jays manager maybe by tomorrow. And this was posted yesterday. And then someone today, Blue Jays Bat Boy, said a source who knows a source just told me Mattingly is now the manager. Wait and see, I guess. And apparently, again, we don't know for sure if he actually has sources, but he seems pretty confident that his source is very, very credible, and that's back-to-back people now within the span of 24 hours, and a third one as well that I don't have a screenshot for, basically saying that John Schneider could be done as manager. And the point is that there's some buzz around this. There's definitely some buzz around John Schneider getting fired and things like that. And Josh Goldberg tweeted around 29 minutes ago that just laughing at the Mattingly to become manager stuff. Even if it's true, that does happen, so what? You're putting lipstick on a pig until the players play better. Can only fire so many managers before the GM needs to look in the mirror. Now, let's go over all this thing. First of all, let's go over the the rumor, and we'll just, again, I don't know if it's true. It's not a credible source, so we're just going to take it at face value for what it is, and let's just assume that this is true for a minute, and let's discuss this. John Schneider he hasn't done a great job so far throughout the season. And he's made a few questionable decisions. I've been critical of him in the past. I've criticized him a bunch on these videos. Peter as well is a bit more fond of him, but he's made some questionable bullpen decisions, and that is absolutely true. The lineups haven't been too bad, but like Josh Goldberg just said here, for the past, however long it's been, month or so, the Blue Jays offense has been absolutely non-existent, and there is nothing that John Schneider could do to make the Blue Jays hitters hit. They have been unable to hit with runners in scoring position. Schneider has tried to, alter up the lineup a little bit, moving Whit Merrifield up to the 2-hole, which has worked out fairly well when it's happened. And he's been open to try new things, which is something that Charlie Montoyo, when we used to have him, wasn't really open to doing. Or Charlie Montoyo would do it on the opposite extreme, where he would change things up way too much. John Schneider, he kind of found a happy medium there, and he's trying to change things up. And he says after every game that, especially after yesterday's game, that you just need the bats to come alive. Obviously, we lost 11-0 yesterday. The pitching was horrible. But if the pitching was great that game, we still would have lost in theory, because in theory, we scored 0 runs. So it's not like that would have really mattered anyway. And the offense needs to come alive. The players that are underperforming need to start performing. Matt Chapman has been atrocious since the start of the season. He has a horrible batting average, and he's just been ice cold. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has an OPS below 800. He's not hitting the ball in the air at all. He's fallen off completely. Alek Manoah, our young ace, obviously he's now in the minor leagues in the Florida Complex League. And if you came into the season telling me that Alek Manoah, our young ace after last year and 2 seasons of greatness, was in the Florida Complex League, I would be shocked. But the offense needs to pick it up regardless of what the manager is saying. And let's touch on his potential theoretical replacement by a couple of these guys here, saying Don Mattingly. Don Mattingly was not a great manager with the Miami Marlins. As much as we and some Blue Jays fans want him to be the manager, I don't think he will solve anything. Would it be a change of, maybe scenery to a degree? Absolutely. But if we were going to hire a guy like Don Mattingly, then we would have done it last offseason before giving John Schneider his 3-year extension. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me right now to have John Schneider fired halfway through the season like we did with Charlie Montoyo last season, even, despite giving John Schneider a 3-year contract. Because, we did do it with Montoyo last season. He was in the middle of the extension and we fired him, but maybe he's kind of the sacrifice here. Maybe John Schneider is the sacrifice here for the offensive struggles, for the team struggles, and maybe they need to do something. Ross Atkins feels like he needs to do something, and that might come in the effect of a John Schneider firing, but again, I just don't think that John Schneider is really the problem here. Do I think he's a good manager? I think he's an okay manager. I don't think he's top tier. I don't think he's the worst. I think he's somewhere in the middle, maybe a C plus, B minus manager, probably around a C plus to me. People might have different opinions. I know Peter probably thinks a bit highly of him, but I don't personally. But again, like Josh said, he is not going to fix, Don Mattingly being hired. Would it be, a nice change of scenery? Probably. Would the players maybe listen to him more? Who knows? But regardless, the players need to start playing better. The offense is absolutely brutal, and things could get very messy for the Blue Jays. Some moves moves need to happen, and at the end of the day, it's Ross Atkins' job to make a trade for a fifth starting pitcher, to add a bat. And at the end, like Peter always talks about here, we need the offense to do good, no matter who we add at the trade deadline or over the next couple weeks and over the next few weeks. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. needs to hit better. George Springer even needs to hit better. Matt Chapman certainly needs to hit better. Kevin Kiermaier's been pretty ice cold recently. Whit Merrifield and Dalton Varsho have been hitting well recently, but the guys who we thought coming into the season were staples in the offense, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was the guy who was supposed to carry the offense to a degree. We obviously have a very balanced offense on paper, but Vladdy has just turned into to not great, and it's kind of hindering him in the field as well. He's had a few games now in a row where his defense hasn't been very good, and sometimes when your offense is struggling, you can't bring it to the field, and Vladdy's doing that a little bit. But at the end of the day, we're still a game back of a playoff spot, a game and a half back of the Los Angeles Angels in the wild card race. So there's lots of time. The Blue Jays need to figure it out, but if they don't very, very soon, like I've said a few times here, things are going to get messy, and they're going to get messy very, very quickly. And who knows if this Don Mattingly rumor is true. If it is, we'll probably know by today or tomorrow, and maybe you'll see me making another video later tonight on the news if it breaks. But assuming it isn't, things are going to get messy regardless. We need to make a trade. The bullpen is absolutely taxed. Adam Simber hasn't performed. Tons of guys are underperforming. Nate Pearson, his ERA has went from a 1.38 or something like that all the way up to above a 4 now. The team it's falling apart a little bit, losing 11-0 to the Marlins. And despite the Marlins' great record, they are they're not as good as the Toronto Blue Jays should be, at least on paper. They are playing definitely better than them. There's no fire left in this team. They need to pick it up, and they need to do it quickly, or else Ross Atkins might even be on the hot seat. And the trade deadline is going to be very, very interesting this year because there are a lot of players that the Blue Jays have. Will the Blue Jays be sellers? There's some tweets about saying that the Jays could do a little bit of a retool, sell the guys on expiring contracts, and Whit Merrifield, Matt Chapman, some of the other bullpen guys, but I don't think they're going to sell. I think they're going to buy. Maybe Jorge Soler would be, like we touched on yesterday, would be a great addition, but I don't know. It's getting pretty scary, and it's getting pretty scary fast, and who knows, maybe John Schneider will kind of be the sacrifice that this team might end up needing. But at the end of the day, I think that it's going to be a much bigger issue than John Schneider, and the offense needs to pick it up quickly, because if this rumor is true, we'll have some crazy videos for you guys, and maybe Don Mattingly can take us to the promised land, which is what he was unable to do with the Marlins, despite his good 2020 year when he won Manager of the Year. But that'll wrap up the video. Just a quick discussion about these rumors. Who knows if they'll actually come to fruition, but regardless, things are about to get messy. They're about to get messy fast, and I'm here for the ride, but the Blue Jays need to pick it up, and they need to do so quickly. So that'll wrap up the video. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.